This next lesson we go back to finding volume, but now we're going to find volume of other prisms other than rectangular prisms. So we have this general formula for us. It's for the polygonal prism, which means it works for any prism that has polygons as its bases, which in our case is most of the prisms that we're going to talk about. Triangular prisms, we can do hexagonal prisms, we could do pentagonal prisms, we can even do cylinders with this one. So what I'm going to ask you to do is make sure that right now you have a colored pencil or a crayon or some kind of marker on hand, because you're going to need that to be able to go through this lesson and work them out. So go ahead, pause the video, go grab that if you need to. What we're going to do in this lesson is take a look at this first formula, which is V equals capital B times little w. This is why the capital B's and the lowercase b's when we were doing area was so important for us. We had to make sure that we were talking about the right B. In our volume formula, the capital B is going to represent the area of the base. The W then is going to talk about what actually joins the two bases together. So what is the space joining them together? Now, I know this isn't a perfect example, but you can pretend this to be a cylinder for a minute here. These would be my two bases on the ends. This part right here is going to be the W, and I think about it as what connects the two bases together. Some people will call it the width. Other textbooks will call it actually the height of the prism. If you think about it, that kind of does make sense more as the height. But we're going to call it for today the what connects the two bases together. So that's going to be our W value. So what we need to be able to do is identify what the base is, find the area of it, and identify the W before we can plug into our formula. So in number one, we have to take a look at this triangular prism. We need to realize, this is the point where you want to grab your colored pencil, crayon, or marker. I want you to outline the triangle here. There's another triangle in the back as well that we can also kind of secondarily look at. We don't really need to concern ourselves with it. What you do need to realize is that the base of this prism is actually a triangular prism. So the base is actually a triangle then. So when we go to find the area of the base, we're going to actually look on our formula sheet and look at a triangle now. The area of a triangle is found by doing 1/2 times the base times the height. So you can basically take your hand and cover up the rest of the picture. We only need to be focused on the triangle. We need to know the base of the triangle, and we need to know the height of the triangle. The base here is 3, and the height is given to us as 2. So to find this, we do 1/2 times 3 times 2, which is going to give us 3. So the area of our base, the area of this triangle, is going to be 3. We now need to figure out the W. Here's a triangle, here's a triangle. What number is actually connecting those two triangles? It's happening along here, which is this number 4. So the W is 4. We now have a number for B, and we have a number for W. So if our volume equals capital B times W, it's easier for us to plug in. B is 3 times W is 4. So the volume of this is simply 12 centimeters cubed. It's a really simple process as long as you identify your bases and follow your formulas. If you're struggling with that, then you're going to definitely struggle with these. In example number 2, here we have a cylinder. Take your colored pencil, crayon, and I want you to outline the circle on the top. In a cylinder, the base is a circle. So when we go to find capital B for our volume formula, we have to find the area of a circle. So capital B is going to represent the area of our circle, which we find by doing pi r squared. Looking at your picture, your radius is 5. So we're going to plug in, we're going to say pi times 5 squared. We're going to go ahead and make this right into a decimal. So 3.14 times 5 squared is going to give us 78.5 for our B. The circles here are on the top and the bottom, and we need to know what is it that's actually connecting them. It happens right here with this 8.3. So that's going to be our W value. So our volume formula again is capital B, little w. Remember, we're multiplying. Capital B was 78.5 and W was 8.3. So we're going to multiply, and we end up with a volume of 651 0.55 centimeters cubed. In example 3, I'm going to have you go ahead and cross this off because we are going to just use the rectangular prism formula. Okay? Example 4, I'm going to do one of these with you, and I'll have you pause the video and go back and do the others. So these are talking about approximate volumes if I have a cylinder. So I'm going to call this one number 1. I'm going to come over here and show my work. I need to do V equals BW. So I'm going to need two things. I'm going to need the base, the area of the base. It's a circle, so it's pi r squared. So I'm going to be doing 3.14 times 4.1 squared. When I do that, I get 52.8. And I'm just going to round off here because it already says approximately. So that's my B value. The height is my W. So to get my volume, I'm going to do 52.8 times 5. And I get 264, which leads me to join these two together. So take a minute, take a look at the next one. If you can figure out number 2, you'll be able to figure out number 3. Just be careful, the diameter is 8 feet. Pause the video, come back and check your answers. There are your answers. How'd you do? We have 2 more examples for you here in this part of the lesson, and then we're going to go on. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit more complicated. So Max is using this cardboard box to mail his aunt some Hershey Kisses for Valentine's Day. What is the volume of kisses that can go inside? So we first have to realize that we're filling it with kisses, which means we're talking about volume because we're filling it. Our volume formula, because this is not a rectangular prism, it's a polygonal, is going to be capital B times little w. We need to figure out what capital B is. So we need to figure out what shape are the bases. The bases are on the ends here, and it looks to be that they are triangles. So how do I find area of a triangle? 1/2 times base times height. Looking at just the triangle, my base is 4, and the height actually pops out here. So 3 inches is my height. So 1/2 times 4 times 3, which is going to be 6. The W is what connects those two triangles together. So you're looking along this line, which would work up here as well. There's your W. Your W is 14. So your volume equals B was 6, W is 14. So your volume is going to equal 84 cubic inches. So Max is going to be able to fit 84 cubic inches of Hershey Kisses into this container for his aunt. Number 6, this one's a little more complicated. Which container holds more detergent? So if we're still talking about holding more, we're still talking about filling, we're still talking about volume. So this first one you have to realize is actually a rectangular prism, which means your volume formula is LWH. You're able to use that one. Length, width, and height. So your volume here is 12 times 8 times 13. Your volume is 1,248 cubic inches. In this one, you have to realize that we have a triangular prism. So our volume formula has to be that BW. Off to the side, we need to figure out B, and we need to figure out W. I notice here's my triangle base. So I'm going to use this one up here. The height of the triangle is 8. What's the base of the triangle? It would be the same as down here, so it's going to be 13. Since I'm finding a triangle, I need to get the area, which is 1/2 times base times height. So 1/2 times 13 times 8, which is going to give me 52. My W is what connects this triangle to this triangle. That would happen right here. My W is 9. So my volume is equal to 52 for my B times 9, which is 468 cubic inches. So which one holds more? The one that has the higher volume would hold more. So Soapy Suds holds more.